Welcome back to Speaking Llama, a Survivor podcast. Today on the podcast, we have an absolute legend of Australian Survivor. So excited to talk with you, but so sad to talk to you this early in the season. We've got Flick on the podcast today. Flick, how are you?
I'm really good, actually. I'm feeling happy. I came into this second season for me for playing Survivor Heroes v Villains being like, look, I either want to win the thing or I want to make the jury. And so look, we didn't win it, but here we are on the jury, so I'm happy. I just wanted to eat, drink, and be merry in there. So that's what we'll be doing.
Absolutely. Yeah. I feel like being the first juror may be the best part or best jury member, right? You get the whole time there to relax.
Yeah, you get the full experience. So last time I finished third, I got like literally 12 hours in the jury and it was like nothing. So I was like, yeah, really. And, this is one of the best juries to be a part of. Like our jury villa is insane.
Oh, I
So
bet.
yeah,
I
can't
bet.
complain.
Well, I'm curious to know, going into this season, being a returning player, how was your strategy different than your first season?
Yeah, so the first time I played, like, obviously I watched as much Survivor as I could. And I've always been a fan of the show. Like, I always thought if there was ever one show that I wanted to do, it would always be Survivor, just because of the whole adventure part and like knowing that it was usually played on an island. I was like, yeah, that's right up my alley. And then I landed in the Australian outback and I was like, hang on a sec, I'm really far from the beach here. But coming, and so when I landed in the outback, I just was like, you know what, I'm just going to go in, I'm going to be myself. And I'm naturally such a social person. Like, I love to, get to know people. I grew up on the road, like, so I'm a professional surfer and I turned
Mhm.
professional when I was 16. So I've been traveling the world since I've been 16 years old. And like, yeah, great communicator, know how to network with people. And I was just like, I'm just going to play to that strength, which is what I did. And it got me all the way to the end. And then coming back a second time, I was like, you know what? And also the first time I played, like, obviously tragically, my mum passed away
Mhm.
while filming that season in like one of the last couple of weeks of the show. And I made the incredibly difficult decision to stay and keep playing.
Mhm.
But from that moment onwards, like, my whole experience was so different. Like, I was literally just trying to put one foot in front of the other. And it really clouded my whole Survivor experience because, like,
Mhm.
my mum's just passed away. Like, how can I not think about that every waking second? So I, when I came back this second time and I got that opportunity, I was really excited because I was able to have this opportunity without that, like, over my shoulders, because
Mhm.
it's just, and I was excited just to have the Survivor experience and go in. And one thing I really wanted to do is I wanted to play a little bit more aggressively. And I did want to try and make a few more strategical moves, which is, at the end of the day, was like the reason for my downfall. But I'm still happy the way I played. And look, making merge is not easy. And also in a season of half returning players, definitely not easy. So yeah, I'm really proud of myself anyway. And yeah, making merge is a massive thing. So stoked to be there.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, I feel like those moves you made them, and that's maybe why you got voted out where you did, because of that.
Yeah.
So I thought they were great moves, and I'm excited to talk a little bit more about them today. One quick question. So one of our podcast listeners this morning, his name's Ian.
Move this and try and get away from that light. Sorry. Okay,
Oh,
let's
you're
go.
totally good.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that's
So
good.
one of our podcast listeners named Ian reached out and said that you are his Survivor hero, and wanted to
Oh,
send in a question for you. So this is coming from Ian, and he wants to know, who were you most surprised to see as a fellow returning player? And then was there anyone you thought might be out there that you might want to work with, that wasn't out there?
so the person that I was hello anyway, and thank you for being so sweet and thinking that I'm your Survivor hero. That's very nice. So the person that I was most surprised to see was probably Simon, and also equal parts scared, because in my first season playing Brains v Brawn, I was a part of his undoing, and I was a part of the reason why he was sent home packing with two immunity idols in his bag. So when I saw him land on that mat, I was like, oh shit. Like, I was like, well, thank God he's not on the same tribe as me. That's one thing. So he can't come for me straight away. But if he makes tribe swap and we're on the same tribe, I'm screwed.
Mhm.
Um, but anyway, as it all turns out, he's over there trying to help me with his actual cookie idol, which he thought was a real idol anyway. That's like a whole other thing. So yeah, definitely the most surprised to see Simon. And then someone that I really wanted to play with, which I thought was going to land on the mat, who because we actually have a relationship outside of the game, is Dave Janae, the Golden God.
Mm.
And we're both from Western Australia. You know, we've spent time together, and I had heard a few rumors that he might be playing. And so, but I was like, look, Dave and I are close. I was like, if he's playing, he's going to tell me. And obviously he didn't tell me. So I was like, unless he's really trying to bluff me, and then we land there and he's like, hello, Flick. And then I would be like, what? Why didn't you tell me? So yeah, I was actually a bit bummed because I was like, he would have been fun to play with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would love to see him on that Villains Tribe, mixing it up early
Oh,
in the season.
would,
Gosh.
yeah. Would have been so good. Like imagine him and George.
Unreal.
So good.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Yeah. I love the Golden God. He is my favorite player of any franchise in the world. So
Yeah,
I really
wow.
love that
Yeah,
too.
yeah, he's awesome. Yeah.
All right. So you mentioned the cookie idol. We've got to talk about it really quick. So I when watching it, I thought similar to Simon and similar to you that like, hey, like even though there's no notes, this is an idol. It looks like an idol. It was probably an idol. But we saw other people in the game. They had some questions about why there wasn't a note and if it was real. Did you have any reservations at all that it wasn't a real idol?
Yeah, I did. I was slightly concerned that it was a little disc. And, you know, knowing from playing the seasons before that, you know, they usually been like a necklace shape and it does come with a piece of parchment. But Sean is the person that passed it to me on the mat. So during that whole pass off of the idol, Dave came over to me and was like, hey, we've got this idol for you. Like, we're going to save you. And Sean was the person that was going to give it to me. So look, Dave is from my original alliance. I trust him, you know, the mostest. But then on the other hand, the person that's going to hand it to me is Sean. And Sean is actually my secret number one. We're each other's number one. So I'm like, why would my number one be trying to screw me over? And like, you know, these two people I trust so much, like they've obviously seen it. They think it's an idol. It has to be an idol. Sean, my number one, passes me this cookie idol. But like, so I receive it and I'm thinking, like, it doesn't really look like an idol, but I was like, it has to be, like, they passed it to me. And like the thing that annoyed, like with the edit, when I saw it go to air, I saw that they just put a cross through it straight away when Simon was talking about it. And like, obviously then it makes Simon look like an idiot and it makes me look like an idiot. But the thing is no one knew. Simon legitimately thought that was an idol. So it's just like instantly, sorry, my blinds are like going silly with the wind. Anyway, but instantly the audience knew that it wasn't. But that's not the impression that everyone had in reality. You know, in reality, we all thought it was real. So anyway, but then the moment I definitely knew it wasn't real was obviously, well, that's also part of the reason why I didn't want to show George. Like when George was like, if you have an idol, like show it to me now. He did say that. And I was like, well, I'm not going to show it to you. Why would I do that? But then I think me not showing him, because if George would have seen that, he probably would have been like, that's not an idol. Like, let's vote out Flick. So that kind of kept an element of doubt there that me keeping it probably sent Ben home instead of me. So that probably worked in my favor. But when I went up to play this idol, I asked JLP, I was like, before I play it, is this an idol? And when he was like, no, who are you playing it for? Because he wanted that silly moment, obviously. I was like, ding in my head, obviously it's not real. They're trying to set me up here. So I was like, I'm just going to, you know, do a little trust exercise here and I'm just going to say I'm going to play it for Matt because that's going to look good for me if I'm willing to play this, you know, cookie idol for Matt. It's the thought that counts.
There it is.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that strategy too of, you know, thinking it might be fake. So let's play it for someone else and get something.
Yeah, I was like, exactly. May as well try and get something out of it.
Right. Okay. So another question with this idol, you know, before you play it, we saw that group of four, Jerry, George, Shawnee, and Liz, or no, not Liz, Stevie, trying to get one of you three out. Did you ever plan to use that as like a bartering chip or something to make a new alliance with them? And do you think that would have worked?
I don't think it would have worked because, and I didn't even think about that because I legitimately, I just think they would have just looked at it. Well, Shawnee was she the one that had the, no, who was the one? Oh no, that was Ben on our tribe. No, I just don't think it would have worked because I just think George probably would have had one look at it and been like, is that an idol? I don't know if that's an idol, you know, and I think it probably just would have made me look like more of an idiot. And then they would have been like, yeah, let's really get rid of Flick. So no, there was no thoughts of like using it as a bartering tool or anything like that. I really thought that Sean had like, and he did, he, you know, had my best interests at heart and that he was doing the right thing by handing me off his idol.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, so last night we saw you unfortunately go home. What was your thought process going into that tribal council? Did you have an idea that you might be the target? Did you know that idol was right next to you when you were?
Oh my God. No clue that the idol was right there when I was searching for it. I mean, that would have been great if I found that, wouldn't it? It just would have been amazing, but Absolutely. It wasn't meant to be. Walking into that tribal council, well and truly, before, obviously that's why I'm looking for an idol. I knew the writing was on the wall. There was other things that had happened that was also like, it's definitely Flick. There's no way in hell it's not. So I knew going in there that was it. I mean, watching Sean in two minds of like whether or not he plays out, that was hard to watch. I was like, oh, damn. He actually messaged me during that episode being like, oh, Flicky, I'm so sorry. I should have just played the idol for you. And he's like, but we didn't have enough concrete like information. I'm like, I don't know what kind of more concrete information you need, but like it was pretty obvious that I was going home. But yeah, that writing was very much on the wall.
Ooh. Oh gosh. Well, I'm sorry to hear it again. Sorry to see you go. Flick, we've got two more questions for you. One, we always like to ask, what is like a fun moment that wasn't shown in the edit? We know there's a lot of content out there and we don't get to see everything. What was kind of a memorable moment for you?
Oh my God. I don't even know where to begin. So there is so many moments that don't make it to screen. Like so many funny things too, but one of my most memorable things was, so George and I have a great relationship, as it might not seem like that, but we are like brother and sister. It's hilarious. And like, we have the best banter all day long. And like, we talk for hours. Like it's great. Like I get along with, he literally is like a brother, but there was this one time we were just like waiting to go into tribal council. And I can't even explain it to you. It's just one of these stupid moments. Like it was actually the mutiny one. Where Liz mutinied over to the heroes, and Shawnee and George and Stevie and Matt and we just got the giggles and we could not stop laughing no matter what, and we were being told off so many times for laughing, and like it was the funniest thing. And I think like the pressure was off. Obviously we knew we were going to go like be bystanders at this tribal council, and like we didn't have like, you know, we didn't have to get in there and vote someone out, but it was just like the funniest thing ever. And anyway, we just like couldn't stop laughing. I can't even like explain to you what it was really about, but like it was just like good memories, like those uncontrollable laughter ones I've just being told off by producers because we're being too loud and like obnoxious, you know.
That's the fun of Survivor though, right?
Oh, it is. There's so many moments like that, just being told to shut up when you're like, this is so funny, and you just can't.
I love it. All right, Flick. So last question for you. This was a heroes versus villains season. You were put on the heroes tribe. Do you feel like you were on the right tribe, and why or why not?
Look, yeah, considering how I played the game in my Brains v Brawn season, 100% I was put on the right tribe. I think though, to win the game of Survivor, you have to be both a hero and a villain, and you have to know when is the right time to do that. And yeah, at the end, probably I did play a little bit like a villain, but at some point you have to betray people at some point. You can't be everyone's friend all the way to the end. It's just impossible. So yeah, look, I think you need to be a bit of both really to play the game and to win it eventually as well.
That's a good philosophy. Yeah. And I thought you did a great job of starting off like very, you know, loyalty oriented on the heroes tribe, but then making those moves as you went through. So you had the foundation there.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Well, Flick, thank you so much for your time this morning. We really appreciate it. Hopefully we might see you back out there for a third time. It would be great.
Possibly. Yeah. Never say never.
Exactly. Well, we wish you all the best and hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.